here for a lifetime underneath the moonlight. Cause I don't want us to go. No, I don't want us to go. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine. In a world so full of pain, can you make it go away? Used to be so sad that love was lost, but now it's here to stay. Yeah, I used to be uncomfortable, but look at me today. Never thought I'd find someone like you, someone to show the way. But now I know you're the answer to my prayer. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I'm sorry for the burden, sorry I was hurting, but my scars are almost healed. Yeah, my scars are almost healed. Yeah, I'm feeling like a child now. Everything's alright now, and it's all because of you. You made the flower in me bloom. Used to be afraid of everything, but now there's no more fear. Yeah, I used to let nobody in and hide my face with tears. But without of you as someone who can love someone like me, but I was wrong, baby, now I believe. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah.
Hey,
You and me must be right.
hey,
Something's in the air,
hey.
I can feel it
I know we're
now.
starting a little late, guys, but this is going to be a good show. It's worth the wait, I promise you.
You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I
Hey, hey.
believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah.
Hey, hey, hey. 3, 2, 1. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Danae Show. I am Danielle Danae, aka Danae, and I've got a lot to say. So let's talk about it. So, Andrew Tate speaks some uncomfortable truths. Let's get into it. So, before I go into what specifically I'm talking about, I want to inform you guys on who Andrew Tate is if you don't know. Andrew Tate is an internet sensation. He has been for years. Recently, he was fighting a case that he had in Romania. He was locked up for crimes that weren't proven to be true. And he just now entered the U.S. He's able to fly to the U.S. and he lands down in Florida and has this interview with PBD, Patrick Bet-David, on his podcast. And Patrick Bet-David is a big podcaster. He gets a bunch of views. I think this interview by itself got over 1 million views. So that's where he says all these uncomfortable truths. And Andrew Tate is also the reason why he's so being such a sensation is because he tells uncomfortable truths all the time, specifically more about men though, and things that men go through, things that men need to understand in order to be great. And he has a whole network of so many men. He's so influential. He has groups that even I'm a part of. He has women behind him too, not as many, because a lot of his messages are specifically for men, so it's harder for women to understand some of them. But I agree with a lot of the things he says. I'm in one of his groups, one of his groups I have on, it's called The Real World on Telegram, I believe. So yeah, super influential, super truthful. He says what everybody else is scared to say. So that's why he's so impactful and why a lot of people support him and a lot of people hate him. But anyway, like I said, he went on and did this interview in the U.S. He hasn't been in the U.S., he said, for 6 years, but initially he was born here. But I think he hasn't been here because, again, he was detained in Romania. So this is his first time back in a long time in the U.S. He comes to Florida and does the podcast with PBD, and it's very enlightening. And this podcast, this specific episode goes on for a while. This episode was 3.5 hours long, guys. But I watched it so you guys don't have to. I'm going to tell you the high points or stuff that really resonated to me. And yeah, we're going to go through each one of those points and even have, my take on a lot of the things he said. So let's get into it. So first, in the beginning, Patrick Bet-David acknowledges that he's here in the United States, and a lot of people are upset because, like I said, he has a lot of fans, but with a lot of fans comes a lot of haters. And one of those haters happens to be the current governor in Florida. His name is Ron DeSantis. Now, Ron specifically was asked a question about Andrew Tate, his entrance. I don't know if they asked if he was welcome or not, but it was just, I know, and they were asking his opinion on him being back in the U.S. And Governor Ron DeSantis was just like, yeah, he's not welcome here. And basically, he said a few more words, but basically that's what he said. He's just like, we are not happy about him being here. He's very rude. So, yeah. So they show that. And then they also show President Donald Trump being asked about Andrew Tate entrance into the U.S. And Donald Trump is just like, I don't know anything about that. He landed today. Oh, didn't know about that. But the moment we do, I'll let you know some more information. Cool. So PBD, Patrick Bet-David, shows the clips of each one of them responding, and he has Andrew Tate respond to those clips. And immediately Andrew Tate responds to the video of Governor Ron DeSantis and says he kowtowed to pressure. He was rude unnecessarily. So he knows a lot of people don't like him. The people backing him don't like him. So he was just like, I'm going to be nasty to this person because other people don't like him. So that's what it is. Even not knowing him, not knowing the case, judging him for things he heard. And he basically called him a bitch. Basically. So I just thought that was funny because Governor Ron DeSantis, a lot of people in the conservative world do not like him. I don't know the ins and outs of all the things he's done, but I remember just looking at him speak in this little clip of him speaking about Andrew Tate, and I was just like, man, this guy just looks like a bitch. He really does. He has the B face. I'm sorry. He does. I could just see it, man. You know it. You know the look I'm talking about. It's like a man that just looks like he'll bend under pressure. The guy that, if a shooter came running in a building and pointed the gun at him, like, please don't shoot me. Whereas Andrew Tate or Donald Trump would be like, shoot me if you want to. Try it. Try to kill me. And whip the gun out of the man's face. No, Governor DeSantis is the type of guy that will cry and plead for his life and be like, when had a gun to his face like a girl. So I thought it was completely accurate that he called him a bitch. And I thought it was funny in the way he did so. And then after he responded about Governor DeSantis, he spoke about Donald Trump's response and that Donald Trump truly is a gangster. He's He used the word gangster, which I thought was hilarious because that's literally the perfect word to describe Donald Trump right now. President Donald Trump. He's just doing what people are afraid to do. And that is so powerful that men shouldn't be afraid to do, but do it. It's crazy that, we call, men, behavior that men are supposed to do gangster, but in today's world, it's like so rare. We gotta call it like gangster, going against the grain, being the black sheep, that type of stuff. So yeah, he says the reason why Trump is so gangster is because literally when you don't want to tell people what you maybe like really feel, or in a way to like keep the peace or not tell too much, not tell a lie, but not overly tell the truth, you say you don't know about something. Even if you do, it's like, okay, I know about it and it's my business and my opinion is my business, and you're just asking a question to get a response to me. I'm not going to give it to you. It was the perfect response in order to, save face, but also have the utmost respect for his answer. Tate later describes, when a man says, I don't know, that's the most masculine thing you can do, because you don't know. When you go through life, and you experience things, and it's crazy, he has so much wisdom at such a young age. Andrew Tate, he's only like 37, 38, maybe even 35. I don't know. I remember when I started watching, I remember him saying he was 35, but maybe that was a few years ago. Anyway, he's still in his 30s. He's not 40 yet. I know that for sure. So the fact that he knows this at such a young age is crazy. But as a man, you go through life, you witness things where you understand, you start to really understand how people move, and how much to say and what not to say in certain instances. That's with people in general, but I think men get a hold of it very quicker because, again, women are their minds are like not thinking the way that men are. So yeah, when people are just asking you a question just to get a response and they don't really care about your answer, they just hope you say something that can make them twist it a little into making it, something, and to create a narrative of what you said that aligns with theirs. So yeah, the fact that, Trump knows he can pinpoint that and say what he has to say and say a whole lot without saying much, it's very telling. And again, so gangster, so admirable, so respectful, because, and he might have not known, even though Andrew Tate is widely talked about. They talked about how when he stopped tweeting on this flight over from outside the U.S. to the U.S. and everybody was like, what the heck is happening with Andrew Tate and he has a brother named Tristan Tate. They both came here to the U.S. It's like, what is going on? When they start to, Patrick McDavid literally said, when you stop tweeting, everybody gets worried. Literally. So I think President Donald Trump probably got wind of it. But if he didn't, he's a busy man. He has a lot on his plate. That was, again, a perfect answer. Whatever scenario you can bring up in your mind or think about, the answer worked for whatever scenario it was. If he really knew, if he didn't know, if he, if he really knew and didn't want to say anything, or if he really didn't know and didn't want to say anything, it worked. So that's why Donald Trump is gangster. That's why Andrew Tate gave him his props and gave him respect. So I think that's so great that was acknowledged, because I said this with the whole Trump, cutting off funding to Ukraine because of that whole meeting with Zelensky. He's gangster in that. He's just proven over and over again that he is not here to play games. He means business and he stands on it. And like I said, he's not going to kowtow to pressure like Governor Ron DeSantis did. So that was great. Then Andrew Tate starts to talk about, in the conservative world, an accusation is the same as a conviction. So that's why conservatives get so bent out of shape. If you look at stories that happen, with a lot of important people that are conservative, they value the nuclear family. The moment somebody accuses them of liking minors or, doing drugs, it's like, oh my God, it's like, what are you doing? Like, they get so bent out of shape. It's because it doesn't matter if it's true or not to them. And it's understandable, because that's how the media works. Like, literally, accusations kill careers. I hate that. And that's something that's very prominent, especially in Los Angeles and Hollywood, where I reside. And just to say, just a thought said out loud, especially by a woman, it's just believed automatically, because it's this mentality so many people have is like believe all women, but it's really believe all people when something negative is said about somebody who is very respected or values family or looked at as good, and does something bad. It's like, ooh, they want to eat it up. People love drama. People love chaos. So they thrive off of that. And that's so true. And the people that are, are the most admirable to look at are conservatives, right? Typically, right? So when they do something that's not seen as admirable, it tears them up. It tears them up. Again, understandably so to a certain extent, but you shouldn't be so bent out of shape. Like, I hate when there's so many conservatives that go out and apologize for doing something that they didn't even do, or it's taken away out of context. It's like when it causes you to change your character and causes you to kowtow to pressure, like a Governor Ron DeSantis did, you become again like a bitch. You're looked at as like, oh, you don't know how to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't know how to fight for yourself, and it's not admirable. It's not admirable at all. So he was like, that's why the left is winning. Like, they don't mind being lied about. They don't mind accusations. What you gonna do? I'm already on the left. I already believe foolishness. I already, I'm all over the place. You throw an accusation out there does what for me? And that's why the left is so, and they also said, Andrew Tate, so factual, that the left is winning in a lot of instances because they know just with that one accusation, they can tear down the conservative community. Instead of the conservative community fighting back and protecting their name, protecting their reputation. Again, I know it's harder nowadays because it's the whole believe all women and everything, like I said before. But if you just kowtow to peer pressure all the time, you're never going to be taken seriously. When the moment you break, because it's going to come, the moment you're like, I can't take this anymore, no one's going to want to listen to you. And it's going to be too much at that point. If you couldn't handle it in the beginning, you're sure not going to be able to handle it in the end. And that's not what we need. We need strong men that can handle it start to finish and handle business. And nip disrespect, nip lies, deceit, all that ugly stuff that the left loves to do. And again, it's on both sides, but heavily on the left. Nip that in the bud so it doesn't become a trend. It doesn't become normalized. So I thought that was great that Andrew Tate brought that up. Yeah, he showed a video of Nancy Pelosi acknowledging it and acknowledging that it's a thing that the left and the Democrats do. They call it the wrap-up smear, which means, they do a smear campaign about you. She was referring to, like, I think, fellow candidates when it comes to running for governor and politics or presidents, whatever. They'll put out a smear campaign and try to ruin the person they're running against name with facts and not facts. And the fact that she acknowledged it, everybody on the show was like, the fact that she's just saying this out loud with no, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Like, no hesitation, no nothing, and owned it was just, again, you gotta appreciate people's balls to say certain things. You gotta respect it sometimes, but it's just like, the most disrespectful thing to do is lie on somebody just to try to, lift yourself up. But it's a thing. And the fact that people don't think it's a thing is crazy, or it's only a thing that, Republicans do and not Democrats, when Democrats over here relaying the message to you, admitting that it's something they do. It's hilarious. And I love that they shared the clip because, again, people people in politics especially, but people's mindset in general, they're always focused on winning, what they can get out of the situation. It doesn't matter who they hurt, who they step on, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as they get to where they have to get, as long as they get to that destination. So it's an ugly thing, man, but we live in an ugly world. And these are ugly truths Andrew Tate is saying, but they need to be acknowledged. They don't need to be dismissed just because you don't like the way he says it, or it's really bad, or you want to be the woo-saw person and believe that the world is just a beautiful place to live in. It's just like, no, wake up to reality. Again, another thing Andrew Tate is big on is being outside the matrix. And you guys know the Matrix, the movie, being caught up in a world that's not real, that's you're programmed to believe certain things in. It's like, no, wake up. The real world is ugly. Y'all seen the movie? The real world was not cute. You know, it wasn't all islands and nice hotels and good food and all that. No, it was messed up. God, Neo, he wanted to go back to the fake world because it was so ugly, but you gotta accept it for what it is. There has to be a certain point in life where you gotta be like, okay, this is truth. Okay, it's ugly, but this is what it is. So what do I have to do to maneuver? What can I do to make it better? And I really believe Andrew Tate speaking on these things, he's making the world better. And that's why, that's why so many people follow him. So many young men are paying attention, because men are tired of suffering in silence. Men are tired of thinking these thoughts, the same thoughts he's thinking, the same stuff he's saying, but they have to silence it because, you know, there's people that are going to hound them for going against the matrix. There's agents out there, you know, making sure they stay in line. So there's that, right? So that no Nancy Pelosi thing, saying it's a tactic, the wrapped up smear, it's a tactic and it's self-evident, she says, and I quote, she says it's the wrap up smear, it's a tactic and it's self-evident. And moving on, Andrew Tate also says that in this clip, he says that media runs people in and out of this industry. You know, liberals are winning because they don't care. You know, so many liberals are fine with tearing down people, like I said, and as long as it brings them up. Again, there's so many, and this is not just liberals, this is even Hollywood. Again, I live in Los Angeles. I've seen so many girls that came here when I came here 6 years ago come and leave. Now, you know, it might have been other issues outside of politics why they are here or not. But again, the world is ugly regardless, and it eats you up, it spits you out, and there's always somebody to replace you. There's always some girl who just turned 21 moving to Los Angeles, moving outside her parents' house, and, you know, wanting to make money, get fame and have influence, right? And those people know that, and they will use you as a pawn in their scheme in order to get the things they want, misleading you to believe you're going to get the things you want. So, absolutely. Let's see. So there's that. So, yeah, Lord, I can't read my own handwriting. I think I said the competition is only a thing when it aligns with a specific narrative. Yeah, I think what I meant to say was, you know, people will attack you and attack you and attack you. And, you know, when it doesn't, people only do that when you don't tell a story that goes with the story that's in their head. You know, it's a constant tactic the lefts and liberals use. Like, if you don't agree that, you know, a woman should be allowed to have an abortion up to the 9-month period or whatever, it's like, oh, you are not for women's rights. Oh, you don't like women at all. And it's just like, no, we just like life. We don't want you to get rid of. And they attack and attack and attack you, like, and it's messed up, man. If they're not with what you believe, they will create a whole other narrative in their heads because it doesn't align with theirs. I think that's what I meant to say here. I was writing fast. Y'all gotta forgive me. I also put, when you look good and do good, you're a threat. Yeah, absolutely. Andrew Tate was saying constantly over again, he was like, I'm fit, I'm tall, I'm successful, you know, and so it's that threatens a lot of people because that's not common in any part of the world. You know, there's always something like, okay, if he's rich, he's super short. If he's fit, he doesn't have a lot of money. It's never all three things align with one another. It's very rare. So they can't attack his looks. They can't attack his status. They can't attack, you know, his influence or lie on it because it's pretty clear. His millions of followers. So they attack, you know, they deem you as a threat because you can't be touched. You can't be told things typically like you're fat or ugly or something like that, that people would break to, would be so butthurt about. If someone told that, the regular person would be butthurt if you went up to them and said, you're fat, you know, and you're ugly. Like, it doesn't work on him because he's not, right? So, absolutely true. And also, Andrew Tate said America wanted to go to war for democracy / freedom, but now allies will lock people up for tweets. Yeah, it's funny. People love to benefit, like they want to be pick and choosy on what they want to be, and when it benefits from them, they'll say one thing in one instance, but when you're like, oh, but what about for is this the same for this? They'll be like, oh, well, that's different. It's like, no, it might be a different situation, but the same rules apply. The same rules should apply, but they're like, no, this doesn't benefit me in this situation. It benefits me here, but not here. So it's true here and not true here, and it's freaking delusional. I always say, like, selective outrage is, I speak about it all the time. There's selective outrage. There's hypocrites out there that believe one thing or say they believe one thing and they really don't. It's so stupid. You got to look past that. Not look past it, but not let that get you bent out of shape, because it's a tactic that people like to use to get you out of shape. But you can't kowtow to that, because again, it's just a tactic that gets you all riled up, you know. And people switch sides, you know. Allies, you know, want to lock your people up, like Andrew Tate said, but want to go to war to say, want our military to go to war and say, oh, we're fighting for our country, this democracy is good, wanting people to die, literally. But the moment we're like, oh, we don't want war, it's like, oh, we're no longer patriots, we're not for peace. It's like, huh? Jesus, help it make sense. Yeah. And another thing he said that I thought was really, really interesting toward the end, he said that people attack you, well, basically, I'm paraphrasing here. He said people attack you for potential truth instead of what is actual truth. And that kind of stems into, you know, Andrew Tate, you know, also being so successful, being so fit, being such an influence, having so much power. You know, since they can't attack that, they instead to attack them on things like, oh, no, being a rapist and being a bad father, he mentioned. And I'm going to get into that off of this. Like, yeah, people love to, when they can't attack you for, like I said, doing good, looking good, being good, they attack you for what they think might be a problem. Even though they have no factual evidence, no nothing. They're just going based off what they think they see or think they know. And that's the most ignorant thing you can do. That's the most dishonest, ugly thing you can do. And again, so common that people do. And it's just messed up. So back to because he mentioned going into, you know, not being a great father. Elon Musk was brought up in the Patrick McDavid podcast, the episode. And yeah, because they were trying to kind of compare, because Andrew Tate has multiple kids. They asked him how many kids he had. Vinny always asks a question people want to know, but the question didn't get answered. He asked Andrew Tate how many kids he had. They kind of moved on. Patrick McDavid moved on to a different topic. But roughly, you know, we know he has more than, I think, 2 baby mamas. So yeah, so there's that. And then obviously all the stuff happening with Elon Musk having, you know, now 14 kids, I think, on the way, or at least a 14th kid is on the way. You know, they were asking him, do you think, you know, having multiple kids, is a good thing? Do you think that, you know, parents should be there, a father more specifically, more often? You think it really affects the child, whether you're there more or less? And Andrew Tate's answer was very interesting. He said, you know, when you're an impactful parent, you don't have to be there all the time. You can be there. You can see your kids for a few hours a week, not even. And if you don't see them, you could FaceTime them for wherever you're at or whatever. It's more so the impact you have when you're around them that matters. When you have a high level of impact on your kids, a good impact on your kids, that weighs more than man, a father who was not impactful at all. He said couch potatoes, sitting there on the couch at home, but on the couch doing nothing, not saying anything of importance to their kid, not saying anything that would make them, smarter, go further in life, whatever. An impactful parent for 1 hour is 10 times better than a dad that's home 8 hours a day just sitting on a couch. And I thought that was so interesting because I thought about my situation with my dad, and I have a great dad. I have an amazing dad. My dad was in the military. He's in the reserves now. He was in the active military, and he was gone a lot. But a lot of times he was home too. But the times he was home, it was a lot of him, sitting at the TV. It was a lot of him being at his desk. And yeah, we didn't have like really deep conversations. If we did have conversations, it was about, the movie he was watching. It was very short because he was very in tune to whatever movie he was watching. And I just thought like I did have a great dad, and he corrected me when I did things wrong that was good, but we didn't have the conversation. He didn't have as much of an impact as I feel like he could. Again, great dad, but the conversations and the type of impact that would showed me how to maneuver in life without them, how to deal with people, how to get control of my emotions. You guys know I talk about that all the time. That's something I struggle with. And it used to be way worse than it is now. I've gotten better. But if he was as impactful as like he could have been, and paid attention to my behavior and spoke to me in a way that I would understand, I think that even if he wasn't around as much as he was, those times he was off doing in the military and he was home, if he had these conversations, I would have learned the lessons I learned kind of on my own and with my boyfriend a lot sooner. So I really appreciated him giving that perspective, because again, when someone gives advice and it really makes you think about your own life, that's kind of the best. That's the best advice I feel like somebody could give, because when you can resonate with it, I think that that shows that what you're saying is impactful. I think that's why a lot of people follow Tate, because they can relate to things he says. They can relate to obviously not being in prison for, well, some can be in a prison based off of nothing, dang near, and not being convicted of a crime and still being put in jail. I know a lot of men can relate to that, but it's just being silenced and feeling like you can't talk, and when they can't even bring up evidence to convict you, they still treat you like a criminal. And that's in relationships, that's in everyday to day life. I'm telling you, men have it so tough outside in the world. That's why it's like I preach to women, you don't want to be a man, at war with your man. They deal with a lot of war outside of the world. They don't want to come home and have to be fighting you. So be their peace as much as possible. Trust me, I know relationships come with hardships. You're going to have disagreements, but do it in the most peaceful way possible, because men are fighting till death. It's not with swords and guns and stuff, but it's like that in their mind, And if you really understood the stuff they have to endure every day, you would be more willing to understand. You'd be more peaceful. You'd be wanting to, hug them for hours a day. So that's why a lot of people resonate with Andrew Tate. I can resonate when it comes to having an impactful dad. I totally get it. It's so funny. When I moved to Los Angeles, I didn't realize how good I had it until I moved here. So many women. I had a roommate when I moved here, and she didn't have a father, so she was, dealing with horrible men, got pregnant by one, and it was just like, oh my gosh. At least my dad, kind of showed me like being a baby mama was not in the cards for me at all. None of my sisters are that. We don't have that type of mindset. We were like, that's one thing we're not gonna do. My parents were married for 30 years before they got divorced just recently. It's marriage before having a kid for sure. So just little stuff like that. So yeah, went on a whole rant, but back to Andrew Tate saying, an impactful father is more important than, them actually spending time with kids. That's so true, especially with raising little boys, because, it shows you reality. A man is not going to be able to protect you all the time. You got to understand that you need to be able to maneuver on your own without relying on another man to take care of you. Women should do that. He remember he's saying, he was like, so it's so much easier raising his daughters than it is his sons, because that he just wants to make them happy. His daughters, he just wants to make them happy. You know, he wants them to live a soft life. He doesn't want them to know struggle. But men have to learn struggle in order to grow. They have to know what it's like to get up when you don't feel like it and work 8 to 10 hours a day, you know, to make ends meet, you know, go through that struggle. So when you make enough money where you can chill, you'll appreciate it that much more. You know, so I remember he was saying it's hard for me not to be soft on my kids, on his sons more so, because he wants to love them and be loved up. And again, he said, he was like, yo, if you look at the most harsh, if you look at some of Andrew Tate's videos, even in this interview, you can tell he speaks kind of harshly, passionately. But the people that speak like that most of the time, like even I feel like Kanye West and even Trump, some would say, are the most sensitive, loving, understanding, will give you the benefit of the doubt type of people. It's just like kind of when people say the people that are the goofiest have the worst anger. I know that's so freaking true when it comes to me. I am hella goofy, but if you piss me off, oh, it is bad. But I'm way better than I used to be. Anyway, so yeah, he's really a softie. So he said the hardest thing for him is to be not soft to his kids, and I thought that was very interesting because I could relate again, because like I want to be hard. I want to be hard all the time. I want to, you know, be able to say truth without, you know, feeling like I'm stepping on toes and stuff. It's the woman in me that wants to be caring and, you know, understanding. Because even when I was like in the Zelensky video, but then another part of me is just like, oh, no. This is what I have to do in order to get results. This is how I have to be in order to be respected. And that's the mindset of a man, too. It's like, no, if you walk around soft, you're going to end up with men like Joe Biden. You're going to end up with men like Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis. And that's not good for anyone. These men shouldn't be in power. It was so funny. Andrew Tate was saying that's why, you know, Governor DeSantis lost during the presidential race. It's because people don't respect a soft man. They don't. Hard truth. It's the reality. They don't. Even though women say, like, I want somebody who's soft and, you know, lets me do whatever I want. No, they really don't. There's always a certain time where that gets old and they start disrespecting you. They start stepping out for a man that doesn't tolerate their ish or doesn't give a F about them if they're really toxic. You know, because, again, women don't, it's not attractive. It's not, guys. So, yeah, influence, impact, worry about making a difference in your life rather than, you know, spending 8 hours a day with your kids. Make sure when you have those conversations, you say the right thing. You say what you need to say to that child in order to get them through a hard instance in life, a hard situation. Tell them what they need to hear. Make sure you're knowledgeable enough to know what needs to be said in those situations. That's what matters. Everybody's worrying about Andrew Tate and Elon Musk all over the place. You know, it's so crazy. Like, even Elon Musk brought his kid to the Oval Office, and people are still saying he's a bad father just because of the whole baby mama drama. It's like you're dinged if you do or you don't. But if you're gonna do it right. Do it right. Be there for your kids. But men, you don't have to be with your kids all the time. And if you have the leeway to do that, cool. But most men that are super successful, like Andrew Tate and Elon Musk, are worried about, there's another point he said, they're worried about so many other things. They're worried about, you know, Elon Musk is worried about space, and he's worried about his Teslas, you know, bettering the world, bettering his designs on Teslas, bettering all that. He's not focused on, you know, trying to make sure his kid is happy all throughout the day. It's just a fact. It's not enough hours in the day. They're so fixated on their job, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, men's job is to, you know, create kids with mothers and be protectors, providers, and all that other stuff. And providing doesn't consist of being in the kid's face all the time. So, I mean, you can be that dad that was there, like my dad, all the time, there, but not really there. He said most of the time, these people condemning him or being a quote unquote bad parent are just sitting on the couch watching TV mostly. They're not spending 8 hours a day with their kid every second of those 8 hours. So stop the cap, for one. But if you are in that situation, kudos for you. But you're probably not making enough money. Pardon me. You're probably not making as much money as you could. You probably don't have any influence. You probably don't have people respecting you, looking up to you as much as these two men do. So stop condemning them because you can't relate. Again, just stop hating just because you're outside of the club that you're not even, you can't even get into. All right. So there's that, guys. And lastly, I'm going to say this because the show went a little longer than I thought, but I'm going to say lastly this. Andrew Tate says the media softens you up before a big blow. And when he said that, he was talking about with COVID. He's talking about when the mainstream media tries to bring people down, like the media has constantly done with him, taking clips he said out of context, convicting him of a crime, or not actually, trying to lock him up for a crime he didn't commit. So yeah, that's so true. When it came to COVID, he was saying that the mainstream media was saying we might not lock you in your houses. We'll do the best we can to make sure you're still able to get groceries and all that stuff. And then they shut it down. They shut everything down. We weren't able to go outside. You had to wear masks every day. You had to get the shot. But they didn't throw that in your face all at once at the beginning. They they glided their way into that and then was like, right. Because again, if they just threw it in your face, you'd rebel. They'd be like, what the heck? What are you doing? Like, this is too much, too soon. But the media and elitists, all these people that run our government and are running our country, they're smart. They've been doing this for years, guys. The fact that so many people think they know better than the government or think they know all of what is put out, no, when they see information, it just has to be true because, I don't know, the government could never lie to us. Like, are you freaking delusional? COVID should have been a prime example of how the media lies. The vaccine, talking about the shot was proven effective. Actually, no, it wasn't. So yeah, man, the media tries to destroy you a little bit at a time. They build it up, and then once the whole building is built, everybody is just like, oh snap, oh my gosh. And the building's on fire, but they don't realize it until after it's too late, after the building's already burned down. So that is so true. So many stuff. There was so much stuff that was said. There were other points, but again, these are the main points that I think were the highlights of the whole interview. And a lot of them resonated with me. So that's why I'm talking about them. So yeah, but wow. I feel for men like Agent Tate. I feel for men like Trump because both of them are disrespected constantly, consistently, and are told they should be more respectful. They should be more, understanding to other people's problems. Are told they're bad people, and it's just like, what? You wouldn't last a day going through what I went through. That's their mentality, and I completely understand it. Because again, these people rah-rahing, screaming at these men and as hateful toward men like Andrew Tate and Donald Trump are men that have so many skeletons in their closet we can't even begin to count. But since they're not in the public eye, they can hide them. But if we were to do a deep search, we'd be a little shocked, or very shocked. The hypocrisy would come out quickly. So again, just because you don't like to hear something doesn't mean it's not true. Just because something makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not true. It's think about it. Wait, and I want to say one more thing that Andrew Tate said. It's like, even when he said he likes to give benefit of the doubt, people benefit of the doubt, And that's something I kind of mentioned when I said, when people think, people are so tough and hard, they actually are really nice and forgiving and all that. He said, even when he knows somebody's guilty, he still asks questions. Even if you think Andrew Tate and all he's went through and think he's all this and ask a question. Be willing to ask the question. Be willing to be wrong. And you will go so much further in life, I promise you. You will. The fact that Andrew Tate said he's willing to ask questions, he's willing to, be proven wrong. He's willing to forgive. Those are all admirable traits of anybody, not just a man, guys. I was called out on my show the other day because I took accountability and said I was wrong about something when I was given new information. That's admirable. People think that's a sign of weakness for some reason. I don't know who put that narrative out there, but it's a narrative people believe heavily. And it's like, no, that's the most admirable thing you can do as a man, as a woman, as an individual. So, again, be willing to hear the truth, whether it's ugly or pretty, because the truth sets you free. And that's all I gotta say about that. All right, like this video if you like this video, guys. Comment always. I love to hear you guys' opinions, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys on the next video.
Aquel día el instinto nos decía que esa noche juntico no quería, que las ganas bebé nos ganaría, pero no fue así. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos a jugar. Ella sabe que quiero a mi mamacita. Ella también quiere que seamos felices. Ella, la que se apresura a la vueltica. Ella es sin timidez. Como la ves no le importa dónde y cuándo. No hay nada no hecho, no soy el que la mando. Nunca lo seré, su carácter no es de niña, que la puede controlar cualquiera. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos. Los 7 días de la semana te doy de mañana y consejos sabes que no es. Te doy el desquite, que me quites todas esas ganas que te tengo, mujer. Todo el mundo sabe que tú y yo somos más que panas, pero nos vamos lento, que el que se apura no llega a nada, no llega a nada, nada. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente, bebé. Vamos lento y verás. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente, vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos